I know exactly where you are right now. You're lying in bed, or maybe you're sitting in your car after a long day. And there is this persistent, dull ache in your chest. It's the feeling that despite all the dating apps, the first dates, and the late night texts, you are profoundly alone. Or perhaps you're in a relationship right now, but you feel like you're shouting across a canyon, and the person on the other side is just a stranger who knows your coffee order. We have been sold a dangerous lie. We've been told that love is a destination, a place you arrive at, unpack your bags, and finally feel safe. But for most of us, love feels more like a treadmill. You run and run chasing this feeling of being seen, only to realize you're in the exact same spot you were a year ago. Think about it this way. Why is it that the spark we chase so desperately is almost always the very thing that burns us in the end? We've been taught to look for chemistry. But chemistry is often just our past traumas recognizing one another. We mistake the anxiety of the chase for the depth of the connection. I want to ask you a question that might be uncomfortable. Are you actually looking for love? Or are you just looking for someone to help you forget how much you don't like being alone? Most people spend their entire lives trapped in the first two levels of love, wondering why their hearts feel like they have a leak. They think they're failing at relationships, but the truth is much heavier. They are chasing a shadow instead of a soul. They are looking for a person to fill a hole that only a change in perspective can bridge. By the end of this, I'm going to show you the 4 levels of love. And I'll be honest, it's going to be a mirror. You might realize that you haven't been unlucky in love. You've just been operating on a level that was never designed to give you the peace you're starving for. You've been chasing a version of love that is a mirage. And today, we're going to stop running toward the illusion and start walking towards something real. To understand why we keep falling into these same patterns, we have to look further back than your last breakup or your childhood. We have to look at the very nature of human desire. In ancient Vedic philosophy, there's a profound distinction that I believe is the missing key to your modern dating life. It's the difference between Preyas and Shreyas. Think about it this way. Preyas is the pleasant. It's the immediate rush. It's the thrill of a new notification, the heat of a first kiss, or that intoxicating feeling when someone you find attractive finally validates you. It feels like love, but it's actually just a sensory response. On the other hand, there is Shreyas, which is the good or the wholesome. It's the path that leads to long-term well-being and soul-deep fulfillment. The tragedy is that most of us are addicted to Preyas while we're praying for Shreyas. We want the long-term peace of a deep partnership, but we keep chasing the short-term high of the spark. There's an ancient parable about the golden deer that perfectly illustrates where you might be getting lost. In the story, a princess sees a deer in the forest that is literally made of gold, with antlers that shine like diamonds. She becomes so obsessed with its beauty that she sends the person she loves most to go and capture it. But the golden deer isn't real. It's a demon in disguise, a distraction designed to pull the hero away from what actually matters. I want you to look at your dating history through this lens. How many times have you chased a golden deer? You see someone who looks perfect on paper, or someone who gives you that specific anxious butterflies in your stomach feeling, and you decide that this is the one. You ignore the red flags, you ignore the fact that they don't share your values, and you ignore the way they make you feel small, all because you're mesmerized by the gold. But here is the Zen insight that changed my entire approach to relationships. The golden deer is a mirror. The reason you're so desperate to catch it is because you believe that once you possess it, you will finally be enough. You are projecting your own need for wholeness onto a stranger. In the monastery of your own mind, you have to realize that love is not a trophy you hunt in the forest. It's not something you get from another person to fix your internal poverty. True love is a state of being that you cultivate within yourself, which then reflects back to you through the people you attract. If you are currently chasing someone who is inconsistent, emotionally unavailable, or just plain wrong for you, you aren't actually chasing them. You are chasing a version of yourself that you think only their validation can unlock. You're looking for a person to be your sun when you were meant to find the light inside your own chest first. Until you stop being a hunter of the golden deer, until you stop choosing the pleasant over the good, you will always find yourself lost in the wilderness. You'll keep waking up next to people who feel like strangers, wondering why the gold turned to lead the moment you touched it. We have to move past the illusion. We have to stop looking for a spark and start looking for a soul. I know that everything I've said about ancient wisdom sounds beautiful, but you might be sitting there thinking, if I know it's an illusion, why does it feel so real? Why does my body physically ache for someone I know is wrong for me? To answer that, we have to look at the biology of your heartbreak. We have to look at what is actually happening inside your brain, because your heart isn't just a metaphor, it's a chemical factory. I remember reading a groundbreaking study by Dr. Dorothy Tenoff, where she coined a term that I believe describes about 90% of what we call love in the modern world: limerence. Limerence is that intrusive, obsessive, can't eat, can't sleep state of early romantic infatuation. It's when you're constantly checking their Instagram to see if they're online or rereading a 3-word text message for hidden meaning. Here is the scientific reality that no one tells you. Limerence is not the first stage of love. It is a biological hijack. When you are in this state, your brain is flooded with dopamine. It's the same reward system that lights up in a gambler's brain when they're pulling the lever on a slot machine. You aren't falling in love with a person. You are becoming addicted to the maybe. This is what psychologists call a variable ratio reinforcement schedule. If someone treats you well every single day, the dopamine actually drops. But if they are hot and cold, if they pull away and then suddenly come back, your brain releases a massive spike of dopamine because the reward was uncertain. Think about it this way: you aren't chasing a soulmate, you're chasing a hit. And if you have an anxious, preoccupied attachment style, this gets even more dangerous. For many of us, our nervous systems were programmed in childhood to believe that love is something you have to earn, or something that is constantly at risk of being taken away. So when you meet someone who makes you feel anxious, your brain misinterprets that cortisol and adrenaline as chemistry. You tell your friends, "I've never felt this strongly about anyone before," when what you're actually feeling is your body sounding a fire alarm. You're confusing a panic attack with a passion project. The science tells us that true, sustainable intimacy requires a physiological shift that most people never survive. We have to move from the reward system, which is driven by dopamine and adrenaline, to the affiliation system, which is driven by oxytocin and vasopressin. Oxytocin is the cuddle hormone. It's slow, it's quiet, it's steady. It doesn't give you the high of the chase, but it gives you the safety of the home. The problem is that we are so addicted to the dopamine spike of level 1 and level 2, love, that when the oxytocin starts to take over, we think we've lost the spark. We think we've fallen out of love because the anxiety is gone. I want you to realize that the very thing you think is boring in a partner, consistency, reliability, peace, is actually the biological foundation of the only kind of love that can save you. If you don't understand this neurochemistry, you will spend your whole life throwing away diamonds because they don't sparkle like the cheap fireworks of a toxic attraction. You will keep chasing the high until you realize that you've been starving your nervous system of the deep. You have to ask yourself, am I addicted to the intensity? Or am I ready for the intimacy? Because science shows us you cannot have both at the same time forever. One is a sprint that leaves you exhausted. The other is a walk that takes you home. Now that we've stripped away the illusions of the spark, I want to walk you through the 4 levels of love. As I go through these, I don't want you to judge yourself. I want you to be a witness to your own patterns. Look at your current relationship or your last 3 and ask yourself, which level was I actually chasing? Level 1 is what I call the transactional level. This is the what's in it for me phase. Most of modern dating is stuck right here. We treat people like profiles on a menu. We look for utility. Can they provide a certain lifestyle? Do they make me look good on social media? Do they stroke my ego? In level 1, you aren't actually in love with the person. You're in love with the service they provide. Think about it this way. It's like loving a car because it gets you from A to B. The second it breaks down, or the second a newer model comes along, your love evaporates. If you've ever felt like someone discarded you the moment things got heavy or real, you were likely experiencing level 1 love. It's fragile, it's shallow, and it's why so many people feel like they're being treated as disposable. Level 2 is the emotional dependency level. This is the I need you to be whole phase. This is much more intense than level 1, and because of that intensity, we often mistake it for the one. This is where toxic enmeshment lives. You feel like you can't breathe without them. You're constantly monitoring their moods to see if you're okay. But I want you to hear this clearly. This isn't love. It's a hostage situation. You are using that person as a drug to numb your own inner poverty. I remember speaking to a woman who told me she felt addicted to her partner's validation. When he was happy with her, she was on top of the world. When he was distant, she felt like she didn't exist. That isn't a connection, it's an addiction. In level 2, you are loving the way they make you feel about yourself, not who they actually are. Level 3 is the conscious partnership level. This is where the shift happens. This is the I see you phase. To get here, you have to move from the question, are they the one, to the realization, I am building something with you. In level 3, the masks come off. You stop trying to perform to keep them interested, and they stop trying to be your hero. You see their flaws, the messiness, the trauma, the annoying habits, and you make a conscious choice to stay and grow. This is the level of radical acceptance. It's where you realize that a relationship isn't a place you go to get something, but a place you go to give something. You stop looking at your partner as a solution to your problems and start looking at them as a teammate. This is where real intimacy begins, because intimacy requires you to be fully known, even the parts of you that you're ashamed of. Finally, we reach level 4, the transcendent level. This is the unconditional phase, and very few people ever truly experience it. In level 4, the ego has completely left the building. This is the love that says, I want what is best for you, even if that doesn't include me. It sounds terrifying, doesn't it? To love someone so much that your own need for possession disappears. But this is the only level where fear completely dies. In the first 3 levels, there is always a fear of loss, fear they'll leave, fear they'll stop providing, fear they'll see the real you. In level 4, you realize that love isn't a cord connecting 2 people. It's an atmosphere you both inhabit. You aren't trying to love. You are love. You love them for their essence, not their actions. I want you to take a second and be honest with yourself. Most of us are starving for level 4, but we are behaving like level 1. We want unconditional love, but we offer conditional attention. We want someone to see our soul, but we only show them our highlight reel. Think about it this way: you cannot find a level 4 partner while you are living as a level 1 lover. You attract the level you are currently vibrating at. If you want a love that is transcendent, you have to stop chasing the highs of level 2 and start doing the internal work required for level 3. You have to become the person who can handle being seen. So where do you go from here? You're standing at a crossroads, and for the first time, you can see the map clearly. You realize that you've spent years wandering in the fog of level 1 and level 2. wondering why you're always cold. You've been looking for a fire in everyone else's eyes when you should have been building the hearth within yourself. The hardest truth I can give you is this: you will never find a level 4 love while you are still using people to regulate your own nervous system. As long as you are looking for a partner to be your missing piece, you are stuck in level 2 dependency. You aren't looking for a soulmate. You're looking for a crutch. And the problem with crutches is that eventually they break under the weight of your expectations. Think about it this way. Love is not a game you win by finding the perfect person. Love is a capacity you expand within yourself. The final shift, the move into the transcendent, only happens when you stop trying to get love and start trying to be love. It's the moment you realize that your value doesn't fluctuate based on whether someone texted you back or whether a relationship lasted 6 months or 6 decades. I want you to stop chasing the high. I want you to stop looking for the person who makes your heart race and start looking for the person who makes your soul feel quiet. That quiet isn't boring. It's the sound of safety. It's the sound of a nervous system that finally feels at home. I remember a mentor once telling me that the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your relationships. But the quality of your relationships is determined by the relationship you have with your own solitude. If you can't sit in a room alone and feel worthy, you will always be a beggar in your relationships, settling for the crumbs of level 1 attention. Today, I want you to make a choice. Stop being a hunter of the golden deer. Stop letting your neurochemistry dictate your destiny. Take all that energy you've been using to fix or find someone else and pour it back into your own container. Build your own peace. Cultivate your own Shreyas. Because when you finally reach level 4, you'll realize that love was never something you had to chase. It was the space you created for someone else to finally be themselves. And in that space, you will finally, for the first time, be free.